Welcome to the Book Party Podcast.
Join us as we journey into the world of books with Michael T.
Prepare to be captivated by engaging interviews, insightful discussions, and fascinating stories. You'll discover new adventures and gain insight into the creative process of the authors themselves as they share their struggles and accomplishments. Now let's hear from Michael T.
This is Michael T. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new Book Party Podcast episode. Today we have a remarkable author in our midst, a speaker and a wellness advisor who has dedicated her life to helping others navigate the obstacle course of life. It is our pleasure to introduce the insightful, inspiring Kelly Majden. Kelly Majden's latest book, Lessons from the Obstacle Course, is a beacon of guidance in the challenging journey of life. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into her wisdom and the transformative power of strategies. Join us as we explore the 5 essential strategies that Kelly takes us through in her book, Recovery, Discovery, Persistence, Creativity, and Collaboration. Through humor and a healthy dose of reality, she offers antidotes to help us overcome the obstacles we face, whether on race day or in our favorite everyday lives. Discover the profound impact of obstacle course races on her family's 8-year journey, encompassing recovery from brain surgery, aging, raising a family, launching a business, and overcoming health issues. In each episode, we'll dive into one of these strategies, providing practical insights and tips. Optimize your time, money, and resources to achieve your desired health without breaking the bank. So, dear listeners, get ready to be inspired, motivated, equipped with tools to conquer life's nutty fields. Kelly Majden's Lessons from the Obstacle Course is your training guide for triumph over any obstacle. Stay tuned for an unforgettable journey of self-discovery and empowerment. So, Kelly, why don't you take it from here, fill in the blanks a bit, and tell our listeners about yourself.
Thank you so much, Michael. I love that introduction. That was beautiful. So I would like to say I'm a recovering financial advisor, been in the financial advising space, financial industry space for 25 years at least, kind of all over on all sides. Mostly working in the last 15 years with corporate 401k plans. And I made the leap to decide, after sitting with participants for so long and combining that with our own health journey, to go back to school. And I got I'm now a board certified health and wellness coach, along with my financial coaching. And now I really just using the fact that we've had to overcome a few health issues, some things, and working with folks to see what their issues are typically in their later years from a retirement perspective is usually, are they healthy and do they have enough money? So now we're combining all of that. And so we've done that. And that's where I call it kind of like a wellness advisor. But I have 2 great kids. Just now they're both 18 and 20. So now I still have one, his senior in high school. So she's still we're all in the whole senior thing right now this year, which is a lot of fun. And now moving into college, and been married to my husband for almost 30 years. So, and just working through that next transition in life. Like, what is this empty nester thing going to look like? But also still doing obstacle courses and all that fun stuff. So we're working through things.
That's great. Well, I've got a 17-year-old, but he graduated high school a year early with a 4.0, and he's already in college. So
that's awesome.
We kind of skipped that senior year thing. But anyway, on your publishing journey, did you go the self-publishing route or the path of finding an agent or agency route, or did you go something in between, like a hybrid publisher? How did you do your publishing?
I did the hybrid publishing. So where it's one of those, it's not self-publishing, and it's definitely didn't go out and find a publisher. There's some groups out there that do help you walk through the whole process of writing the book and the thought process, and then also helping you with the publishing and editing and doing your book cover and all that good stuff.
Well, I hear, talking to different authors, that some have went the traditional agency route, and it took them so long to finally get their book out there, some of them 2 or 3 years, and they had a identity problem at the end because they kept wanting them changing their words and changing this and changing that, and it wasn't what they wrote, and they weren't really happy about that. So they had wished they either self-published or went through hybrid publishing. So when you went through the hybrid publishing, did they do the editing and formatting for you and the book cover and stuff? Did they collaborate with you? How did you do that part?
Yeah, they definitely collaborated with me, and I hear the pain part of when they went through the editing process, because when I went through the editing process, I did hire, like, they had a little I would say an affiliate relationship with an editor. And I wanted to make sure, because it was my first book I've ever written. So I wanted to make sure it was edited properly. But I did notice when I was going back through their edits, I did lose my voice a little bit. So I kind of had to go back and redo some of those, that their editing process. Once I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Because at first I was kind of accepting. And then I went back and was reading. I'm like, wait a minute, that just lost me. So I did do the editing process, and it was helpful though. And I'm glad I did. It was an eye-opening experience though, going through it.
Oh, okay. Did you do an audio book on this too?
I haven't yet. That is my goal to do this year, because the book just came out this year.
Oh, okay. Because I'm getting ready to do audio on 3 of mine, because my 4th book is we're working on it now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm getting ready to do the audio on 3 of mine. So anyway, take us to a point in time that you would consider in writing this book as your worst author moment, and tell us a story about that.
I've been thinking about that, kind of how it took me a long time to get this book done. Like, I started out to do this March of 2020, and I didn't get published until March of 2023. So literally almost 3 years. And through that, I think some of the worst, like, I've had like some of the things where you've been writing and all of a sudden it went away. I've had that process, but I think it was really just getting myself to continue to sit down and then remembering where I was in the thought process, because I was very scattered in my whole writing. I wish I had just kind of sat down and did it a little bit more methodically and every day, but it was having to kind of go back and then rewrite things and reread and do all of those, that part of it. I guess not a moment in time, but more like several little moments that were, as a fresh new author, kind of led to a lot of frustrations, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, did you use a book outline to start this?
I did. What was really, and I do appreciate the group that I went through, because they did require you to do a book outline, and I leaned on that quite a lot. So I'm glad that we did that. But yes, I did do a book outline to start with, and I would for sure recommend anybody do that.
Absolutely. And mine are nonfiction books, and I have to do a solid book outline that's solidly researched. And when that's finished and it's chapter by chapter and subheading by subheading, I can't lose track that way. And I just go by it and work on it each one at a time. And that way I can't lose track. And I'm really happy I do that kind of thing. So take us to what we call the epiphany moment, where you're doing anything except your actual writing. You could be driving, you could be cooking, you can be getting ready to go to bed or just waking up, be taking a shower. It doesn't matter. And all of a sudden, this bright light goes off in your head, this aha moment or something. But, oh, my God, I got to grab a pen and paper. I got to write this down right now. If you don't, it'll fade away. You have a moment like that?
Oh, tons of them. Tons of them. I do a lot of walking. And if I'm not listening to a podcast when I'm walking, because I have 2 ginormous dogs that have to get out and walk every day. And I've discovered that I would start bringing my phone with me, because I'd be just I'd shut things down and I'd just be in my head and I'd be thinking about things, especially as I was going through the whole writing process. And I would, I want to say this and I want to say this because my book is nonfiction as well too. So I was taking that time to go back through our experiences on the obstacle course and how I've applied that in life. And I would come up with, that's so great, Kelly, write that down. And I didn't have anything with me. So I started bringing my phone with me and then recording into my phone and then going back and listening to that. But I've had some fun times when I did the record to text and I was like, what in the world was I saying there? Like, what's that all about? But for the most part, though, yes, I've had those. I've had them driving as well, too, because I'll just, when I used to do a lot of driving. And anyway, yeah, I found you kind of have to have something to capture that, because if you don't, you just lose that whole thought process or the way you said it. That's really the biggest thing I've noticed is the thought kind of still stays with you, but the way you said it, you're like, oh, that was like money. And then you're like, what did I say? If you don't capture
the thought can still be there, but if you don't get it immediately, it kind of fades and it's not the same as if it were the same thought that you had when you originally had it. It kind of fades away a little bit. So it's important to get that thought right down, either written or in your phone or something as soon as you get the thought. That's really important to get. So
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So let's turn our attention to today. What is the one thing that you're the most fired up about or most excited about right now today?
So it's the journey that I'm taking on as a wellness advisor. I have been so astonished as I went through my training to become a health and wellness coach. It was like a year and a half plus process to do so. And taking my financial background, what I would talk to other wellness coaches and health coaches, and I'd be like, well, tell me how you built your business and all that kind of stuff. So I could start getting some ideas on how once I was done with my training, how I would build this out. And I was trying to figure out how to pull everything together. One thing I kept hearing is they would tell about their product, where their business is coaching, but it always led to a product. And there's something in the financial services industry where you talk about a stockbroker versus a registered investment advisor. And a stockbroker finds what's suitable for you, whereas a registered investment advisor finds what is the best fit for you. And there's a little bit of a difference in that respect. And I could not find anyone who is taking kind of like a step back in the wellness space, because there's so many really great products, but everybody is trying to gear you and throw you into that thing that they feel is going to fix you. But they're not taking a step back to say, okay, let's figure out what's wrong. Where are you at? What do you want to improve on? And then let's go find the product, instead of starting almost like, well, I'm going to help you find what's wrong with you, but I'm also going to kind of guide you to using my product. Again, could be a good product, but is it really the thing that person's going to stick with? So my passion right now is really working with people on a planning and a strategizing standpoint, because I feel that's missing in the industry space as it is. And the wellness industry is just going to explode if people haven't really realized it already. They say it's going to be like a $7 trillion industry by the year 2025. Where are they getting that money? They're getting it from all of us. So you've got to be really very specific and know exactly what you're looking for, because all of us want this quick fix, and it's so easy to get sucked into that. But yet it might not be the fix that you really need to set yourself on a path of wellness and health. And I'm very fired up to get people healthy for their retirement years, because I just think that our health system is broken. Our way that we approach it is broken, or maybe not broken, but maybe just needs to be tweaked a little bit. And we just need to have a different approach to it. And I'm hoping to help my clients make that approach and take a little bit different of it, because, we work all hard. We work so hard through our lives. And you want to have that kind of that golden time in your later years. But if you're not feeling good, then it doesn't matter how much you've saved, because you're not going to be able to live the life you want to live. So you kind of need to have the combination.
Right.
And so if you ask me what I'm fired up about right now, that's what I'm fired up about. And that's why I left the financial services industry to really focus in on this piece.
Well, I think too that the COVID period, especially the lockdown parts of the COVID period, people realized there's things wrong that they really didn't know about until then. So your type of industry becomes more important than it would have been to these same people.
I think
Correct me
there's
if I'm
definitely been
wrong,
an
but
no. I think you're right on. I think my timing is awesome in that respect, because the fact I think people have woken up a little bit more to the fact that, hey, there's more I can do with my health. And there's also probably realizing more I'm not as healthy as I need to be. And also understanding it's more of a journey. I think everybody, I've done it too. I've done it to where I'm like, okay, I'm going to get myself in shape for this thing because we do these obstacle courses. And so I'm like, okay, I've got to really push to get in shape for this obstacle course. And then I kind of like fade off. Like I did a marathon and then I didn't run for 2 years. Like I was like, you hit these points, and instead it really is more of a journey. And what we've also discovered is, my husband had brain surgery back in 2014 to remove a pineal gland cystic mass in his brain. He still had issues with double vision, and we just discovered 2 years, or about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, that he has something called Lambert-Eaton myasthenic syndrome, which is a rare autoneuromuscular disease. And autoimmune disease. And what we've discovered too is that all of this working out we've done all these years has kind of masked it. But if we hadn't stayed curious and hadn't still continued to work towards, okay, let's keep getting healthy, then we probably would never have figured out what was truly going on, or would have had more detrimental effects to him. As it is, we're able to now manage it, but something we have to now really make sure our health and working out and managing what we eat and our stress level and sleep, all of that stuff, we really do have to take very, very seriously, or else it throws him into a tailspin.
all right. This is Michael T. We invite you to go to bookpartypodcast.com, hit that subscribe tab on top, and scroll down to the icon of your choice, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or Odyssey, where you can download and follow us there, and please leave a review. And don't forget to sign up for our weekly video newsletter to get the latest information on our upcoming shows. Okay, Kelly, we are entering the lightning round, and the lightning round is 4 pointed questions for 4 pointed answers.
Okay.
So before you became an author, before you started writing your book, what was holding you back from becoming an author in the first place?
Partly, I didn't realize I wanted to be an author. I always thought it'd be kind of cool. And honestly, I hated writing. Really did. So, I had the thought, and I had these thoughts, and I do a lot of presentations. So I thought, well, I'll just put a presentation together for it. And then a friend of mine who wrote a book, she's like, Kelly, you really should write the book. And so it actually started off as a different book. Then I moved into this one to write about the obstacles. So I think the biggest thing was that belief, because I've always hated writing. I never felt like I was good at writing, that getting through that, and that might be why I dragged my feet and took me 3 years to write this, was just really kind of coming into like, okay, actually, I'm an okay writer. I'm like, I can compete. And just being okay that what I write is what I write, and people are going to like it or not like it, and being okay with that. That makes sense?
Okay. When you started writing, what was the best advice you had ever received?
To just sit down and write. I think that was to block some time to sit down, because I think and I hear other authors say this as well. And now that I've done this, it cracks me up. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You find every excuse in the book not to sit down and write. Oh, I need to go clean my house. I need to go do this. I need to clean up the litter. I need to do laundry. Everything else that you think you need to do, instead of just sitting your butt down and writing and taking that time. And it doesn't matter. Like, just let it flow, because you can always go back and edit, but just get those thoughts out of your head and on paper.
Well, I interview a lot of people, and when I ask this question, I glean a few answers from them. And the one is, you can't edit a blank page. Okay, yep. You can't, so you got to do it. The other is, write drunk, edit sober. So
I
just
love
get
that.
down there, get it out of your head. Get it out of your head. Don't worry about punctuation, sentence structure, and that. Just get it out of your head. Worry about editing it later and making your sentence structure and stuff a little bit better.
Yep.
Just do it that way. So those are a couple of the ones that really stick with me a lot. So, okay, share one of your habits that contributes to your success.
So I do really try to stick to some sort of routine. And I would say my morning routine is usually when it's on point, I have a fantastic day. And it's getting up, walking the dogs, getting my workout in, and sitting down and doing the things that I need to do, doing some studying in the morning, and then getting into my work. If I can, the days that I get that routine down and I have my day planned out and I know exactly what I'm going to hit, are great days. And I always try to say, I always have one thing I want to make sure I accomplish that day. So I kind of write out my week to say, these are the things I want to get done. And I try very hard that every day I have to at least do one of my big rocks. I call them, I think that's from Stephen Covey or something like that. But, get that big rock done that day and push forward. And if I set my day up that way, I get my routine done, the day is spot on and it feels great.
Okay. Could you share with our listeners an internet resource that you use when you write?
So I think for me, probably the thesaurus that I've found online, because a lot of times you're saying the same thing over and over again, and trying to kind of work through, okay, what I need to say this a little bit differently, or I need to work this a little bit differently. I use that a lot, trying to find different words on how to say some, because I was talking about obstacles, especially in the obstacle course. So I'm sure if you probably went through that, it's obstacle is said so many times, challenge is said so many times. I tried to find a few different ways to be able to say that same word, so I didn't get too redundant. But it is about obstacle courses, so there you go.
Well, a good editor can help you with that as well, getting a second set of eyes on that.
Yes, and the editing did really help in that respect, so kind of helped through that. But as I was doing the initial process and self-editing myself, I did try to want to change it out so I didn't become too boring.
Okay, Kelly, we're now entering the grand finale. So what I want you to do is take your time and tell our listeners all about your book.
Thank you. I love this opportunity. I appreciate it. So Lessons from the Obstacle Course really is, it's a journey that we've been on now for it'll be almost 10 years coming up this spring. And the obstacles, we were introduced to these obstacles when my husband was recovering from brain surgery, and had a few friends who said, hey, Kelly, come do this thing called the Warrior Dash. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's go do this. And then I kind of take a step back and went, what's a Warrior Dash? So like what did I just sign up for? And it turned out it was this 5K, 3 miles, about 20 obstacles. The thing that they conveniently left out was how muddy it was. I'm sure they didn't think I'd go, but we had such a great time. And my husband was recovering. We had our 2 little kids there, and they were watching us go through this. And my husband was like, that's what I needed. He needed something to really encourage him to get through this brain surgery and to recover for it and get back to the self he was, because we were in our early 40s at the time. And that's where I start off. The book is about recovery. And I've had some people like, why do you start off with recovery? I'm like, because we are always recovering from something, whether it's a physical setback or a mental setback or just something that's happened in your personal life. I mean, I think most of us, many have been laid off from a job, or you've gone through a divorce, or you've gone through an issue. Somewhere along the lines, you're recovering from something. And so I start the book off with how we use the obstacle courses and the training for it to get my husband through his recovery from brain surgery, because he was laid up for about 4 months because we had a few issues. And in that same time, my lower back went out on me. So that's where we start that with the goal setting and how you get going in that respect. And then we talk in a little bit more going into the other strategies, which I talk about discovering, which you can really think about as your purpose and your why and how you work through that and how some of the obstacles really maybe understand what I was wanting, what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be as a wife, as a mother, as a business owner, all of those things wrapped up. But there was also, I touch on, there are some things we have to walk around. Like you don't have to do everything. So really helping people walk through that, because that's also a realization that I've come through. And I've heard you mention Fiverr before, and I was fighting to get a website done. And I sat there after 10 hours trying to get this done, realizing I don't need to do this website. Somebody else can do this for me. There's plenty of people out there who are definitely more qualified than me. I don't have to figure this one out. So it's those kind of things in that discovery process of the things that you really do need to do and the things that you really probably need to walk around and not do and take on. We go through finding, your persistency, just being persistent through things. Sometimes you do have to just grit it out and do it. And how do you do that? What's important, like eating the frog first, some things you just have to do. And I talk also about creativity and collaboration. And then creativity is, there are some obstacles that you do really have to get creative about. And I talk about how you do that. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to do something that some people look at you like, what are you doing? That's just part of getting through the obstacles in life. But collaboration has probably become my most favorite at this point in time, because there's something that's so unique about obstacle course challenges that when you go out there, everybody is just family. Like everybody is nice. Everybody is fun. You get to these obstacles and people are, they're putting themselves in like awkward positions to help you. And then you turn around and you help them. And it's just this whole family. And I'm going to, we're all in this together. Let's help each other. And I talk about how I've been in sales all my life. So when I have been with other people and really work together as a team, how important that works and how well that works when you go out and you're building your businesses and you're building your life, and just how being just a good person and being friendly could be just to others that you run into, how important that is. And you never know what impact you're having on that day. So it's become, just because of this world that we live in right now that feels so divisive sometimes, that's become one of my favorite chapters, because of the fact it's just a reminder that, hey, you know what? We're on this big muddy rock together. Let's play together. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, why can't we all just get along? There's a good reason why we can. So that's really, in a nutshell, that's what I take readers through. And I have questions and action points at the end of each chapter, so that it's not just, okay, that's great, I appreciate that, but I encourage the readers to go through in each chapter and then set it aside and think through some of the questions and how it applies in their life. And hopefully some of the strategies and thought will spur some thoughts for themselves on how they can get through whatever it is they're facing, whatever challenges and obstacles they're facing in their life at that moment.
Okay, great. Well, Kelly, we thank you so much for being here with us today and opening up to us, and I'm sure our listeners appreciate this too. Again, this is Michael T., and to all our listeners, I would invite you to go to bookpartypodcast.com, hit that subscribe tab on top, scroll down to the icon of your choice where you can find us on one of your favorite platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or Odyssey. You can download and follow us there, and please leave a review. Don't forget to sign up for our weekly video newsletter to get the latest information on our upcoming shows. Book Party Podcast is owned and powered by MTM Legacy Publishing. This is Michael T., signing off.
You must not miss our next episode as we delve into a world of inspiration, entertainment, and thought-provoking insights. Join Michael T. on the next Book Party podcast and experience a new adventure, a new story, and a complete immersion into the world of Pages Unveiled, Chronicles of the Writing Journey.